Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live edition of Vox Vomitus. As you can see, we do not have a guest with us today, and that's because we are celebrating our 4-year Vox-A-Versary. So, woo! As always, I am your host, Jennifer Ann Gordon, the author of Pretty Ugly, the Hotel series, and the Japanese Vox, and other stories. Longtime viewers and listeners will notice I'm leaving a book out of that recently, and we can talk a little bit about that later on. Joining me today, as always, is my co-hostess with the mostest, Allison Martine, author of the Bourbon books, which includes Dibs Since September, Move On Melinda, and Climb the Salmon Ladder. And very soon, I'll have to take a deeper breath because I'm adding another title to that, which is Ranchers Take Manhattan, which is coming out dangerously soon. So again, we will talk about that during the show.
You can see I have a little stripe on it. People who are listening have no idea, but I'm holding up the new cover, and it has the proof, which proved to me that I didn't screw up the book. So I'm excited. I could be like, yes, people buy the book. It is not a complete hot disaster. And like the spine is all proper. It's always
I love
fun.
it. And it's a very, very cute cover. We're going to talk about that because all of your books have recently had...
They had a facelift.
They had a glow up, like the people on Bridgerton.
Oh, so that's better as a glow up than a facelift, because a facelift implies you
facelift
were like
is what I need.
Oh yeah,
and a glow up is what like young, cool people that are in your books would get. They would get a glow up.
Okay, I'll go with that one. That seems
because I'm like your characters don't need a facelift yet.
One of them might want a facelift because
character
is actually old enough to possibly want one, but she would never. That's like not her thing. She wouldn't. Probably not. She might. Could be fun.
So Allison,
hi.
Yes,
hi.
Hi.
My hair's doing weird stuff. I give up. I'm pulling up on my ears, which is probably worse, but that's fine.
No, it's good. And again, I feel like we need to have a warning for people. It's very hot where I am.
We're both dying.
It's very hot where Allison is. And it's very humid where I am. So what's going on with my hair will probably be less attractive than it is even now.
They'll just do stuff.
Very soon.
It's its own character and participant here, and it's going to have its own character arc, and we're just going to let it. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah. So it's been another year of this.
4 years.
4 years and 164 episodes.
We
counted.
We counted that, and I was trying to go, well, how many different authors? And that's way too much math, because we've had a lot of authors come back, friends of the show, who we've had 2, some even 3 times. So it's like, okay, well, how do we count that? And then we've had some episodes where we've had multiple authors. Either for a collection or, we've had like Ed and Lynn come on together.
Yes, and we had a playwright and actors.
And the actors, those aren't even authors. We've just, it's been kind of chaotic. So I couldn't tell you how many that means, but people are like, you've read so many. I'm like, I know.
I know. That was the first thing. My husband, Roman, our producer, that's when we were like 164. He just looked at me. He's like, that is a lot of books.
And he knows that's not all we read either. That's not even, that's just for this show. And it is kind of funny because like for just the show, when we first started, first off, you didn't tell me we were doing video. So I had about a day to not be terrified of doing that and be like, I have to put on makeup and look at a camera, and I still haven't really figured that out.
And now you love it.
But at first, we were getting these authors on that people had recommended, but I hadn't read most of the books. And after a couple, I'm like, I kind of would rather get to know what I'm talking about rather than just, hi, tell us about your book. Because you can't have a conversation if you haven't read it.
You can, because there's plenty of things to talk about. Process, the industry. But I like to read the books.
I like to read the books. And I think pretty much every time I've been on a show for my books, nobody's read the books, or they've read some of the books, but maybe not the book that they're interviewing for. And I think that's like the big thing for me is like, yes, we read a ton of books. And then I also do my separate show, To the Moon, Allison, which I only do once a month, but then that's like, okay, how many on top of that? Because I've been doing that one for almost 3 years. So I don't really want to do the math to figure that out, or how many extra books I just listen to. All I know is that like this year I did the Goodreads challenge and I said, oh, I'm not going to set it for some ridiculous number, which I beat usually anyway. I'm not going to go that hard. I've already beaten it, and it was May when I beat it.
I never do that.
Who am I kidding?
At the end of every year, I'm like, how many books did I read? Because like you, I read in every kind of format. I'll read a PDF that an author sends me early. I will read an ebook that I buy from my Kindle. I will read, a hard copy. I will do audio. I will read.
You know what you won't read is a signed copy. You will always get another book.
I will not read a signed copy, which has made, this past year, I've been lucky enough to go to several author events. And I've gotten a lot of books autographed right when they came out. And I realized very quickly, I'm like, oh no, I can't.
Don't touch him.
I can't do this. Like, oh my gosh, Paul Tremblay wrote something sweet in this book. What if, because I know how I read. I don't want.
You're not nice.
I'm not as nice as I could be. I'm a page folder.
My librarian mother is mad at you and she's dead already.
I will throw another book in between the book to be a bookmark.
I've used like scrunchies and children's socks as book. It's not good. And I'm the same. And that is, I think, fair. But I mostly listen to books now, so I know I'm super excited. I get to go see May Cobb tomorrow at her event at Zibby. It's Zibby with a Z. Zibby's in Santa Monica. And I'm totally going to get a book for her to sign, but I still plan on listening to the book, not reading it. Because I'm like, first off, I hardly ever can read with my eyes. And second, I don't want to mess it up. She touched it. It'll be like framed or something up.
I know. I love it. I love it. So very recently I bought several copies of, again, Paul Tremblay's horror movie. I bought several copies of that, even though I'm like, oh, I've already read it. I read an arc.
But I need it.
I need it signed. I'll admit, currently I have, for Josh Mallerman's Incidents Around the House.
Yes.
I have a PDF he sent me before it was even an e-arc. I have an arc. I have an arc.
Can you frame some digital
e-arc? I have a signed advanced reader copy that he sent me, and I have the hardcover. And my husband was like, oh, can you get the audiobook for me? And that's going to be a solid 5 versions. Hilarious.
But you won't be able to sign an audiobook because I don't think that's actually possible. But, he's a musician. There might be a way. He'll have like a little jingle he put on. That's me signing.
Or like a mixtape.
A mixtape. That would work. Actually, that makes me think of Paul Tremblay with the horror movie with like the VHS on that, which if I had that physically around, my son, who is obsessed with all things like 80s and 90s, would steal it because he would think there's actually a VHS inside. So if I get that, I'd have to
keep it away, keep it safe.
Yes,
I love that. Okay, so we've mentioned Incidents Around the House. We've mentioned a horror movie. These are books that are not they're not part of the Voxies this year.
They're not eligible yet because
they haven't been on our show for that book yet. So a lot of awards are like, oh, it's the 2023 Voxies.
I know. It's
the 2024.
What is the period of eligibility? From last year's Voxies on. That's how it works.
That is how it works. And so sometimes we'll have somebody on for their backlist, and then all of a sudden, a book that came out 3 or 4 years ago, maybe
for a Voxie.
Is it eligible for a Voxie? I think that actually might be a good segue into, because I don't think it came out maybe it was 3 years ago.
Which?
Our winner for best use of real estate, and best is like really like loose air quotes.
Questionable how we're using the term best.
The most horrifying real estate driven book. But it's still huge compliment because the Voxies are rare and the awards are different every year. It's Bracken McLeod's Closing Costs.
Yes, exactly. Making me, never want to buy a house because you don't know who's been there and touched it and stuff. And, horror is already such a big thing when it comes to the place is possibly haunted. But I will always remember that Bracken talked about secular horror, where it's not about,
it gives me chills,
oogity boogities, but just horrible people, and that's bad enough.
And horrible people are way scarier to me than the boogity boogity, as you so eloquently put it.
Yeah, that was eloquent.
It was eloquent. You're like, I'm a writer.
But that's kind of back to the whole bear versus man thing. Like, I would much rather take my chance with the bear or whatever oogity boogities we're writing about versus, oh, it's just a guy. Oh, I don't like it.
Well, I know. So, and when you, like, we had Bracken on the show, I've had the great pleasure of being able to talk with him in person a few times. There is almost no nicer person in the world.
You wrote that.
I know. And then like, oh, his books are so dark, so incredible. And also I will say he has really good book merch and book swag. Ooh, because I saw him at Chris Golden's House of Last Resort weekend, and he signed my copy of Closing Costs, and he had keychains made of the fictional town.
Oh, that's funny.
Where the book is. So I put my house key right on it. So nice. That is my keychain, is a Bracken McLeod signed keychain.
I love it.
Riften, Massachusetts.
Well, and I think that leads into it's not the category. It shouldn't be like best bookish merch. We had a separate category, but Mike Caladrius would like to come say hi.
Oh my gosh, you mean the best fictional animal of whatever year?
Of any year, because
of any year,
this thing is terrifying and it freaks out my kids.
I also have a Caladrius. It is not in the room with me right now, but only because it lives on the top of my bookshelf in the living room,
where Tubby can't get it.
And I knew once I came downstairs, I was like, oh, if I go back up and get the Caladrius, he's gonna see the Caladrius coming down off a shelf and think it's Christmas.
The little blood there, right there. That's it. But yes, this goes
Sarah Langan.
Sarah Langan's A Better World, which would have a Caladrius in it. And I don't really want to ever live in a company town, but if I have to eat Caladrius jerky, I actually was eating jerky shortly before the show because I needed some protein. It was not made of Caladrius.
I made Caladrius. I have been thinking about, because I do like to dabble very lightly and very rarely into the Bookstagram world of let's stage some pictures of this book.
I'm awful at that.
I'm not great at it, but what I want to do is do like a little, because the Caladrius in A Better World by Sarah Langan, they have shrines in front of them and offerings. So you
need some pomegranate?
I want to do that.
Do you have a pomegranate? Because
they usually have pomegranate.
Yeah, you need that. And Regina is wishing us a happy Vox-A-Versary. Thank you, Regina. And thank you for, we're really thankful for all the people who watch regularly live, because it helps us feel like we're less in a little vacuum, like bell jar, and we can talk to each other and go, people are watching or saying
people
hello.
Are watching. So if you're just lurking, make a comment.
Hello. We will know. People say hello. And and she also is a regular person who comments. So she's not just chiming in. She's not a bandwagon follower. She's diehard.
She's not like, oh, the Vox-A-Versary. I'll show up for that.
We'll show up for that.
So you, again, we're like kind of flying through these Voxies, which I love.
Considering we make them up, we can keep going. And Amanda also wishes us a happy Vox-A-Versary. Thank you, Amanda.
Amanda's also a longtime listener and viewer. So you mentioned when we talked about Sarah Langan's A Better World that you never would want to live in a company town.
No.
And that brings us to the place I would like to work the least. This is saying something, because it's not the company town.
It's not world. That one. I mean,
that one I feel like they at least had really good health insurance.
And considering Sarah's book was set in a world where you really couldn't breathe outside, it was kind of like, well, I might die in there, or my kids might die in there, and it might go really badly or not. I don't know, but we're at least breathing for the first time. It's like, Mom, did you notice your cough stopped? Oh, that thing you've had for like chronic years? That's better. But no, I think you're talking about David Scott Hayes, NSFW, not safe for work. And you know what? We literally just got a new refrigerator, and I took off the magnet that I had on there.
I love it.
And my other one, I think, is on the back of my computer, so you can't really see it because it's behind here. But I've got that. And
NSFW, I like, that's a book that keeps sticking with me. Like when I'm thinking about like what we've read this year, we're very lucky. We are, now that we do the show only every other week, we are we are very careful with what we read. So hence why we have a lot of return guests and books that we've already been hearing about. Not that we're biased, but
we're totally biased.
I keep thinking about NSFW because I love to be able to say I've never read anything like that.
Me
in
either.
form, in plot, in vibes.
I love how you use plot in quotes as if there wasn't a plot, but there was a good plot, but just how you quoted it. And
I feel like because everybody knows that I don't care about plot at all.
I know. No, but it absolutely was. And it was one of those books where it sticks with you, and you also are in this torn place in your heart where you want to recommend it to people, but you have to stop and go, I'm not sure you can handle this. Okay, you can handle it. I'm not gonna, like, this is not one I would let my dad borrow. My dad does read, but that's not one I think my dad would really be able to.
No, I think this has like kind of like a specific type of audience, which I love, and I feel like it's one of those books that could be like a litmus test, like to a stranger. Like, that's I'm not sure if my pseudo new acquaintance has like strange political beliefs. I wonder how they feel about capitalism and other things. Let's loan them NSFW and then like just have an honest conversation about it. You can weed a lot of people out. Like
a little octopus in a jar, then you'll be like, you're my kind of people.
I know. NSFW had everything. It had characters who were named like as usernames.
Yep.
Which I loved. It had the most toxic workplace environment in the world. It had, what was like that closet called? Like the
it was like the maternity place where there was like a lactation station.
Oh, it was the lactation, yeah.
Because it was for nursing moms, but I don't want to talk about what happens in there.
For people who are not watching, nursing moms. I feel like if people watch The Boys and know the character Homelander, there's like a crossover similarity.
Homelander, sorry.
And that. So this book has everything. And it has a squid. And then some.
And then some. And Regina says
it was really like kind of one of the sweetest love stories I've read.
Oh, a heartbreaking one too.
Heartbreaking. Well, that's what I want.
Of course, you're like,
I don't want to feel after. Bad.
I mean, I think the book's called NSFW. People knew it wasn't a romance and all that stuff. But okay, so Regina says she's so behind on her to be read pile. So are we. And like, I know that I always say, and I feel like a broken record, my TBR pile is dictated by the shows because I have to read in advance because my brain does not retain crap. Like, it just doesn't. So if I read a book and then a guest has to be postponed for some reason, I'm lucky if I remember anything about the book. Doesn't even matter how much I love the book. My brain's like, I retained so little of it. What's the book about? So I try to keep mine too close to when it is, unless it's like, oh, well, this person who was supposed to be on our show, or we were hoping would be on our show, and still hasn't come on our show, and you know who I'm talking about, now has a new book coming out. And so we're not gonna call him out. We're not going to. He's probably not watching.
But I'm going to see him
soon,
like a week from tomorrow.
Yes.
And I'll be like, hey.
Oh, remember? But he has a new book coming out, which I've pre-ordered. So I figured, okay, we'll hopefully have him on, and then I will have 2 books there. And if I get too far behind, I'm like, I will start with that one. So, but Regina lets us know that unfortunately lactation stations are real, but no one ever knows they're available. I just know that when I was temping the first summer after I gave birth to my eldest, and that child would not take a bottle, and they did not have something like that where I was temping, because that would have been very nice to go ahead and nurse her there, because it didn't matter that I was pumping somewhere private, because I didn't really care about pumping in a bathroom. But my husband had to drive that baby to the workplace, and I had to nurse her in the backseat of my car in a parking garage. That's not fun. So yay!
Yikes! Modern hoops and NSFW has nothing to do with actually using it for the right reasons.
Well, and
but it should be there for the right reasons.
They should, and not for David Scott Hay related reasons. But yeah, we definitely need to have him back on, because I know he's got backlists that we're like, we need to read it, and we're going to get caught up. So
exactly.
Regina's just offering support, and I appreciate Regina. My children are way too old for that now, and it's not happening anymore, so I don't have to worry about that. But for all the other mothers out there, it would probably be nice if they had such lactation stations being used for appropriate purposes.
Yeah, that weren't always busy.
No. Yes.
So I love that you and I are the same, where we have to read the book like I like to finish it the day of the show. So
you cut it close, because there are times when I'm like, are you going to get done? Do you need me to spoil the ending just so you know what happens? And no, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But it's like your days to read are so close to when we do. And I usually am a couple days ahead of you.
Because if I start, like, because I work on the weekends, so
you don't
like, so I usually start like Saturday night, and you're like, well, I'm already done. But so when I read short story collections, or when I write short story collections, I have to take notes. Especially when I read short story collections, like, what was this one?
Oh,
like,
that's you got it.
Keywords. And we recently had Rebecca Rowland.
Yes.
She was actually our last guest before the Voxies, and her book, her Shirley Jackson nominated book, White Trash and Recycled Nightmares, is one of the strongest short story collections I have ever read. I loved every story. I kept thinking, so when I first started, I was like, just put a little like dash, because my copy's not signed, so I can write in it. Just a little dash, like, this one I think is going to be my favorite. This one's going to be my favorite. This one's going to be my favorite. And then I think I was on like, I think it was on like 9 out of.
You're like, they're all my favorite.
20. I'm like, okay, I can't pick. It's like Sophie's Choice.
Some of them I may have just liked certain titles better just because they had a fun ring to them, but the story wasn't necessarily like, well, this story is better. Some of them had titles that I wouldn't be able to pick out the title, but the story was amazing. So that one definitely gets the Voxy for amazing collection.
Amazing collection, I know. So, but I'm not gonna lie, I told Rebecca she won this earlier today because
you're like, by the way, you're getting a Voxy.
By the way, you're getting a Voxy before the Shirley Jackson. So when
if she puts it in her bio, Voxy and Shirley Jackson award-winning author, no one's putting in their bio because the word isn't really. It's real
if we believe in it enough.
Like Peter Pan, the Galadriels will make it real.
The Galadriels will make it real. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I had disposable income,
we'd make it real. We would
make it real because I have this.
We would also have an award ceremony because we want to invite everybody to come hang out with us.
I want to wear a dress.
Cool. Yeah, rather than us look at our closets going, I have nothing to wear. Blue is this is the year for blue because it's 4-year blue sapphire topaz or
I think it's topaz at 4 years.
Yes.
But yeah,
put it on a resume. Rebecca, please don't put it on your resume.
Rebecca, put it on your resume. So I would love nothing more than to like go to Goodwill and estate sales and yard sales and buy like bowling trophies and like gymnastics trophies and pry that stuff off and glue on like Voxy for best collection for White Trash or Recycled Nightmares. Rebecca Rowland for whatever year. It's just a range of years.
Yeah, and what's really funny too is like, so we had Vince Laguna on our show, and he sent us an award that wasn't for us, but it was an award that's a prop, and I have to keep it in its box because it looks
because it's a giant. Well, it is inappropriate. It's a giant butt plug.
But it's a candle, Jennifer. It's a candle. But it looks inappropriate. So like,
I can't believe I just whispered I whispered that like I thought my mom.
The internet would hear you.
I know. Well, I don't. So the other day I had a conversation with Roman and I said, I am really in the mood, like emotionally, to see Anna Green Gables, like 1985, that version. I just needed it. And then all of a sudden, every ad on my Instagram and Facebook was advertising for the only place on the internet that you can like download legally the entire Anna Green Gables saga. And I'm like,
listening to you.
I mean, I have a very loud voice.
You do, but at the same point in time, it shouldn't be listening to you, and it's a little scary that it's doing.
So that's why I whispered.
She whispered it because you don't want ads for those. It's just advertisement. You're like,
no shame, but
I didn't need any of these. But I was going to say we transitioned from those short stories to you had, and we're not doing the Voxies, but there's not actually an order of anything here. But you recently won an award for the Japanese box. There it is. There's your literary
nasties. This one does have a year, 2023. So it expires
like a parking permit?
Like a parking permit next year.
Okay.
So
let's win again next year.
I'll have to win again. And I'll have some short story. I have a short story coming out in October that
could be eligible for that.
I mean,
is that the one that you were talking to me about recently?
It is about.
That's a love story that isn't a love story. All your books are love stories that aren't
a love story. That's not a love story. It might be about somebody who develops a almost sensual love relationship with the idea of being operated on while still awake.
That one. That one.
But it's not gross. It's not gross. Even
Oh,
if
no.
I mean, no, it's lovely. So yeah, next
We
year.
have some different definitions of gross and lovely,
that story's not even out, but like it might be eligible for the literary nasty. But I'm very proud of this because I am. Because anytime you get recognition for something you've written, especially something as personal as my short story, The Japanese Box, which is the most personal thing I've ever written in my life. It started actually as creative nonfiction, personal essay, and then it got so personal and so real that I'm like, I better add something weird.
Put something in that.
I better make something weird. Oh gosh, yeah. Or could it?
Or could it? I mean, this is you. I mean, when I was reading that collection, so many of these I'm like, well, this is you. Well, I'm pretty sure you told me that story. Yep, I remember when that happened. Like so much of it, I thought I don't know where that line is. I know the first story in the collection, like that one is not true.
That one is not true, which is why, like, I would have had that story not been in, even though that's one of my favorite stories, Simulacrum. Had that not been in, I probably would have like talked to Damon at Last Waltz Publishing and said, like, can we call this creative nonfiction? Can we call it autofic? Because besides the serial killer,
what? You're not a male serial killer?
Not a male serial killer so far. And yeah, but other than that, if you want to know a lot like me,
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And everything you think is
like check it. I'm like, yep, she said that in real life. Yep, that's
the
real.
Things that you don't like, that's the fiction.
So you're like anything that's making me question your sanity. Well, that's probably real.
Yeah. So yeah, literary nasties, Japanese Box.
And you say whether you would talk to Damon about calling it creative nonfiction. I think the reality is so many of us do put so much of ourselves in our books that so much of it could be considered creative nonfiction. And
or
the audience
fan fiction.
I write fan fiction in my own life.
I know. I was like, that's a segue to Dibs.
Well, that's true. Well, we can show Dibs, which this got its glow up. We're not calling it its facelift, but these are the new covers. I can't hold all of them, but they all now have the bright neon colors, which when I realized, I'm like, they match my LaCroix. I had to
that was such a cute photo that you put on Instagram of like all your covers matching different, like
all of them do.
Here in New England, we just call that bubble water.
Bubble water.
Bubble water.
I've been calling my husband a bubble guzzler because he's like, can you buy some more? And then it's gone. And I'm like, how many have you had today? He's like, well, it was hot. It's like, you had like 5 today. Those are not free. What are you doing? But yeah, so
I get it.
I have to figure out what flavor goes best with the Ranchers because this is the new one. And I think the Beach Plum will work because it's kind of the same color, because I really hope it's not the Mojito because I drank that. And then, sorry, LaCroix, but it tastes like toothpaste. I'm not a fan. And I love mojitos. I'm whispering. Yeah. Don't tell
you don't want LaCroix to come to your house and take everything out of your refrigerator.
No, they'll be mad and they'll be like, excuse me, I still can't figure out why half their cans are tall and half their cans are fat. They're all the same size as far as like, this is 12 ounces and this is 12 ounces, but these are skinny and make you feel skinnier. They're 0 calories. I don't know what we're doing here.
I think it's
fine. They're like, oh, I'm fancy and elegant. But yeah, this comes out actually. It comes out next week, so I probably should be doing stuff. But it's all.
Why is I'm like that's a surprise to me?
Well, because when people are like, "When is it coming out?" I'm like, soon-ish. But I haven't. It is available for pre-order as an ebook. The paperback isn't available until it's available. So it's the next Tuesday. You can, I think, start actually buying it. So. Something like that. If not, I'll post more pictures and go, here are people. But because it's the 5th, I think the people who have read up to the 4th, like I've been telling them, hey, it's coming. And they're like, yes, I want that. So I feel
then their book bubble tells them. And, so like.
Yeah, my Amazon told me that I have a book coming out. I'm like, thank you. I wrote it.
I know. No, I love that. It's been almost a year since the Japanese Box collection came out. And I just remember. I always love it when like Book Bubble send me an email about my book, or Amazon will, and I'm like, oh, it's a real thing. It's happening.
It's accepted by the outer thing, not just in here. Like the real world knows it, not just like I thought I wrote a book. did I do something with it? But yeah, this was one that I had been working on for a while because it's been like 2 years since the last one came out because I've been so busy doing all the other books that haven't seen the light of day yet, because that's how Trad Pub works. Yay! That I've been threatening. I'm like, I wasn't sure I was even going to bother releasing this, and I was joking.
I'm just so excited.
Well, I was joking. I would just send it to the people who I knew were the avid fans who read the fourth. But
yeah, like in your newsletter on your Patreon or something.
That's true. Well, thanks to the new covers, it's been a lot of people buying them as like a set and buying all 4. So hopefully now there will be people who want to go ahead and buy the 5th one too. Although like it is now like, okay, so they'll buy it as a set, and the 5th one is, if they had like the old ones and didn't have the new cover. I have some people who are mad. They're like, what do you mean that they don't have the 5th one and the new and the old covers? I'm like, I'm not going to try to make an old cover and a new cover for this. That's too difficult. We're not doing that.
And, so my book Pretty Ugly had an original cover, and then it got a glow up.
I have the original cover.
I know. And I have tons of the original cover.
I love the original cover. And you know what? My book club read it, and most of them preferred the original cover. And they're like, can we get that? I'm like, it's not for sale. I didn't know you had it. Otherwise, I would have been like, we'll just send them over, because they all like that. It was the COVID issue. It was the bad.
So for anybody who like has not seen my book Pretty Ugly, or has only seen the new version, the original version had a mask on it. The book is not about COVID, but it is about a virus that causes your face.
It's fun
to be eaten off your body, and if it doesn't kill you, you are left very disfigured. And it's a fun story.
So fun.
About an Instagram influencer and a politician, and maybe they get healed even if their bodies are not. So
and some dead people along the way too.
There's dead people along the way.
But maybe Regina wanted to know which is the original cover. So Regina, I don't know which one you have, but there's one where there's a very stylized art cover with a mask on, and you can kind of see these like vines or lines coming from her face like a broken ceramic doll. It's gorgeous. So you have the hooded figure, then that's the newest one. So
that's somebody getting on a train. The train is important. I feel like, maybe there will become a time that I can I could probably just like release the other cover too, and have two different versions.
Or just
because it's not such a hotbed issue right now.
Yeah, I don't think it would have the same reaction now, but releasing it right when like Delta variant was, people were like,
yeah, that was not great timing. I couldn't see that coming.
My bad.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's an amazing book. It's one of my favorites of yours, if not my very favorite. So I think
I love
it too. The cover, but new covers keep coming, and sometimes you get a cover where it sings to you and it does not sing to anybody else. So you're like, we will work on this.
I love the original covers to your books.
Yes, it's okay. Well, and I love the original covers too. And I won't say who said this, but they said it was lovely for a menu insert. I'm like, well, that's cool. I like it because I like food.
With that. I know. I'm like, I don't disagree with that. Maybe that's why I liked it so much, because I very rarely go out to like restaurant bars these days. And when I do, I'm so excited. I'm like, look at the menu. Look at the picture of this drink. Look at the picture of this food. I get very excited about things.
Yeah, and see, we are the wrong audience for this, because not everybody else. I mean, I do remember one of my first reviews for Dibs was like, do not read this while fasting because there's so much food in it. But I love it. And I don't care what genre it is. I'm reading right now one that would be considered, I think it's considered noir. And it has a ton of food in it. I'm like, dude, I'm here for the food. Okay, so there's bad stuff happening and some guy just got shot. But let's go back to the chilaquiles. Let's talk about that a little bit more. Those are homemade? I'm going to need some of that. So
see, as a vegetarian who cannot eat gluten, the food stuff, I enjoy it, but I get like a little like ragey. But I'll read any book as long as it has cool cocktails in it, and then yours covers both. You're like, but that's called the bourbon books.
You got that right in there, and I was super excited because somebody posted something recently on Threads, and it was like something about bourbon and said books and bourbon, what a great combo. And I'm like, are we talking about my book? They were not talking about my book, but that's fine. And anytime somebody says dibs on something, I think they're talking about my book, and they're just like calling shots for things. I'm like, sorry, did you call me? No? Okay.
Yes. Oh, I'm here with signed copies of my book.
Yes. Well, and I know covers will change. Sometimes things get changed when there's like an adaptation for things or special editions. And so
hopefully a new edition.
New editions. Well, and I was saying earlier, we do not touch the signed books. Like those are sacrosanct and keep them separate. And I did take down my signed copy of Voyage of the Damned because I was
we're segueing into another
I'm segueing, partially because I had lent my non-signed copy out to a friend, especially because up until next month, it was not available in the United States. I had mine shipped from the UK, so that's how it worked. But yes, Frances White, her Voyage of the Damned, it has so many special editions, but the cover is always the same. It's a variation on the cover, but it is like there are some that have special editions where it's a completely different cover. Hers, the artwork is so good that nobody wants to mess with it. They're just like, how do we add different foil, or what's the side?
Let's make it shinier. Can we add a different kind of map?
Exactly.
I loved her book, and I would get that cover like tattooed on my body.
That's kind of complicated to do that, but all right.
I know.
Just show with the book going, could you please put this on my thigh?
Put it on my thigh, please. So Frances White, Voyage of the Damned, is winning for Best Found Family.
I love it. And it's funny because it's like when we talked a little bit about found family, and I went, how is that a found family? The fact that he's basically an adopted father through half the thing with Grasshopper, the child who's tagging along for the ride. And there's not a category for this, but book.
I know, because I originally, in my little like notes that I was scribbling, I originally wrote Best Queer Romance, and then I wrote Best Pirate Story.
It's not a pirate story. There's no pirates in it.
There's a boat.
Doesn't matter. Like, it's a boat, therefore pirates.
I know. That's why. Literally, I wrote it and I'm like, there's no pirates.
There's no pirates here. No, but what's funny is, so for that one, the whole idea of like, okay, could have best use of extraneous food would totally be there for that. But also just for having these characters and all the different voices. I had so wanted to hear the audio. So if there's a category for FOMO killing me the most, it's that I still haven't gotten the audio because it wasn't available in the UK. So Francis's publisher, Cover Your Ears, la la la. So the best part about it, which is kind of funny, is we were talking about the fact that there are different swears in the US versus the UK as far as what people find super offensive. And a couple of the ones that she uses in the book, when she got a US deal, which happened a little later, they said, American audiences don't really like this word or that word. And so they got kind of polished up for American sensibilities and our puritanical impulses, and that's fine. I already have the UK copy, so they can't take it away from me. But
they can't take the C word away from me.
What I was worried about is I'm like, well, I better get the same narrator because I've been waiting for Nathan Fode since she told me that he would be the person. And it didn't occur to me at first that as an American, I could not get the Audible until it had an American release. And now I find out it will be, and I will get Nathan Fode, and he's going to say all the same bad words. So they did not censor that part. Like, are they going to make it come back and change those words? And the answer is no. So I'm super excited. So if there was my FOMO is an overdrive until I get this.
That's a good category.
That's exactly.
I did switch it to Best Found Family just because I wanted to be able to segue eventually into Best Blood Family.
Blood is
blood in many ways.
This is what I will drink my this is
drink
a Bloody
Mary. So Best Blood Family, Best matriarchal powerhouse line.
Best title I like just saying.
Best title.
Bless your heart. I just want to say it like that. Bless your
heart. With like a clenched jaw. By the one and only Lindy Ryan. We love Lindy. We loved Bless Your Heart, which it's public knowledge now. She's posted it. It was in Variety. Is being adapted for television.
I've adapted these caramels that they were supposed to be butterscotches, and I still have some left. And I thought my kid ate all of them. I thought my kid ate all of them, but my husband's desk is kind of all over the place. So it's like if the container got knocked over and a couple fell out and got shoved under something, there's still a couple here. If I leave them here,
I have no butterscotch candies left. Yeah, my husband definitely ate them all.
But you had the real ones, didn't you? Like
I had the real ones. The yellow
these are caramels, which are not the same.
Yeah. The yellow crinkly wrapper. I love Bless Your Heart so much. I am so excited for the TV show. So people who haven't read Bless Your Heart, it's a series. It's, the second book is coming out. and now I can't remember the title of that right now.
I don't know if I even knew the title yet. All I know is
I saw the cover and it's so stinky cute.
Let me go my phone. I'll look it up. You talk. No, and
Okay.
I just know also it's one of those where I can't wait to see how the casting's going to go so May Cobb is not eligible for a Voxy this year because she hasn't come on yet because she's promoting.
Well, here's the thing. She was on last year. That was the episode. I was going to talk about it.
Just before it was
the one that we wore the bikinis.
Was that since then? Okay,
yeah.
So would that win for making us wear bikinis and getting away with it?
I was going to surprise you with this, Allison.
You didn't want
I was going to be like, you know.
I'm just going to look up Lindy's
book. This is like a lifetime achievement award for May Cobb, or like one of those special awards, because her book, A Likeable Woman, had this great epic cover of like somebody
blue bikini.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. On a pool. Amazing blue bikini.
And you talked me into wearing that.
I don't know how I did that, which is just so funny.
I clearly wasn't thinking or like.
It was very hot. So my pictures of myself from that show, like my hair is so humid, gross, like sweaty on top, humid on the bottom.
I know I put up my shirt on like almost immediately after, like, okay, here we are.
I was wearing a beach cover up. I know,
I feel super subconscious right now.
Our views were up on that episode.
Were they? That's because May Cobb was on.
That's because May Cobb was on.
May Cobb was on.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the time she got hot sauce in her eye.
No, that was the time before that she got hot sauce.
That.
She's been on 3 times, so she'll be coming on for, I'm hoping, for her 4th book.
Oh, yes.
It's The Hollywood Assistant, which I'm going to get to go see her tomorrow night and get my signed copy, which I will
came
not.
Out 2 days ago. No, yesterday.
It just came out. And so I feel like I need to hug May Cobb and see if I can get residual hug from my sister and from you, because May met my sister and you met my sister, and Kelly was with Kelly Hitchcock, who is a guest and prior Voxy winner who
she won last year.
Yes.
So to date, Kelly is the only Voxy winner who recorded a short acceptance speech and sent it to us.
That's the bar super high.
Rebecca, you might be adding it to your resume as you should.
Resume. I'm just saying.
But I mean, acceptance speeches are always welcome in print and or video. It all works.
In favor of all of it. I'm pulling up Lindy right now so we can see the name of that book, because I want to be able to say.
Yeah, it was
Another Fine Mess. Is that
yes, Another Fine Mess.
It's got a little teacup there. Okay, that's way too small. You can't see it, but it's very cute. You can just hear it in that
like an animal.
Another Fine Mess. You got that in. It looks like a werewolf hand. So I don't know if we're expanding beyond.
And
there are rules somewhere that if you do vampire stuff, a werewolf has to show up. Is that just like a thing? Like,
I'm not sure. I mean, they are like sworn sex enemies or something like that.
According to like Twilight and then Vampire Diaries, and then True Blood. And I feel like True Blood fans are going to want this because I feel like it appeals to a lot of the same people. So for those of us who are like, okay, I loved True Blood, what next? This is your what next. This is your
what next. Also, people who grew up on Buffy, which is me. And by grow up, I mean my 20s.
I was going to say, you mean we were the same age as Buffy and tried to dress like her? No, that was still just me.
No,
okay, but Rebecca just said she would just cry and cry and cry if she like an extended
that's
and that would be amazing. But we thought that was for the Shirley Jackson. I didn't think the Voxy would carry as much emotional weight, but I love that.
It's like the dress rehearsal for the Shirley Jackson.
Regina, I can't answer what is a sworn sex enemy, and I am frightened. But think about it. Okay,
I don't know what it is either. But I feel that vibe coming from.
It's the Twilight thing. Like everybody's fighting over Bella, and no one really cares why. But I mean, I grew up. My whole thing was Anne Rice books that I was not supposed to be reading, and I'm still sad that I haven't watched the AMC stuff. Didn't even know that the Mayfair witches were there, but there were no werewolves anywhere in this stuff. If I'm remembering correctly,
not that I remember, but I think I gave up on the vampire books after a while. Like they just faded away.
But didn't.
But I
remember reading a couple in college.
I loved
What was this? Anne Rice? I don't know what
the show is so good.
Like I've heard it's really good. And I still have to quote my sister.
AMC.
So the original movie was acceptable. It wasn't, none of the casting choices were what I would have done, but it was acceptable. But
I didn't hate Claudia.
I didn't hate Claudia. I'm like, I was a little
And I
mad
liked,
at her, but that's not her fault. But well, and having Antonio Banderas as Armand was way too old. I'm like, you're also supposed to be a child. I don't know what's happening here. But my sister saw the Vampire Lestat movie, or Akasha, or whatever the movie was, Queen of the Damned. And I have to quote her because I thought it was probably the best quote about slamming a movie. Is she said it was like they took an Armani suit and made a bikini out of it. She hated it so much.
And I was literally going to be like, that movie kind of turns people gay, though, like in a good way.
Which one? The first one?
No,
she's not Queen of the Damned.
Queen of the Damned.
That turned to gay? How?
I mean, the eyeball, like just looking at it.
Just watch it. Okay, I was going to say, I think I had a very different experience than either she or I had, because I know I didn't see it in theaters. I remember I got it eventually on video and went, yeah, she was right. This is probably not true to form. But I wanted to like it mostly because I thought the casting choice for Lestat was closer to who Lestat would have been in the books. Because I'm sorry, but Tom Cruise, a like 5'8" American man, is not Lestat. Like not even
close. With like the worst wig I've ever seen in anything. And I've done community theater and high school theater and childhood dance.
I love it.
It is the worst wig. That wig.
If there's the last season,
if there's an opposite of the Voxy, it is Tom Cruise's wig in
Interview with a Vampire. Well, and that's for sure one that we're going. Probably not one for us. We'll pass on that. But no, I do think there's maybe a special award for Tom Cruise that he thinks he's bigger in his head, because then he also played Jack Reacher, and I'm going. Because we've been watching the show, and Jack Reacher's like this massive guy. Like
he's like a building of a man.
Yes, like he's the Incredible Hulk, but not green. And then Tom Cruise
was like a little bit less rage issues than the Hulk.
Not by much, though.
Well, I mean, as a comic reader, I would have the dumbest debate ever right now, but I'm not going to.
You're like, I could debate you on this.
But
we've enjoyed the Reacher series with Alan Richardson, and just looking at him going, yes, you are what the author had in mind, and Tom Cruise was not. So that's okay. But I can't wait to see how they're going to cast Lindy's show with Bless Your Heart, because we were talking about who she would pick, and some of them it's like, yes,
I think some of that was not on the air though.
She was talking about people who were like from like how she visualized them 30 years ago. So it's like you can't cast them because they grew up, and it's sad, but it's like I can't wait to find out like who would be. It's like I know one of them.
I need some like movie deals and TV deals stat before Victoria Pedretti and Ava Green age out of every single character in all of my books.
Yeah, no, you need that. I mean, I know that those are your love. Get it? See what I did there with love? I get it. Yeah. Or just do you have Mike Flanagan on speed dial and say, could you please adapt my books?
No, I was going to say,
and I know he's busy in Gunslinger. Oh, are you
saying it out loud because I'm hoping the same thing that happened with the Anna Green Gables stuff will happen, and somehow Mike Flanagan will be like, oh, I should contact Paula Mounier at Talcott Notch and have a little convo about Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent. Oh, Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent, which is my book.
You're like, oh, I didn't mention that. Can you tell us why you didn't mention that? What's going on?
So, Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent for long-time viewers and listeners, and then people watching it just later, and also strangers. That was my debut novel that came out just right when the pandemic started. So perfect timing for when a book should
to be a great debut time. I said the same thing.
Great debut time. So, Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent went on to get some critical acclaim. It won a few awards.
That's good.
It won more than a few awards, which is weird and strange. And then
because it kept winning awards too, where it's
winning awards. I'm
this
like,
book didn't even just come out, and it's still winning the awards and kicking other books' asses. Can books kick each other's asses?
I mean, maybe this one could.
Is it?
But and then I will say I am very honored. And this is going to be a good segue towards like the final
another Voxy.
So my good friend Josh Mallerman, good friend of Vox Vomitus, he it's going to be like a 4-timer. He bought Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent, and he read it, and he loved it, and he was kind enough to write probably the best introduction I've ever read to anything. And I'm just saying that because I'm a Leo. But it was very sweet. And I'd been, talking with my agent about Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent, and we both just realized that this book never got the audience that it deserved because it was with a small press, and of course then went out of business. Legally not allowed to talk about that.
I'm allowed to talk about it. I didn't sign it. But yeah, we both released with a place that doesn't exist anymore, so that makes it really, really fun.
Yeah. So you know, talking to my agent, she decided that we should pull Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent, get it re-edited, shine it up, possibly add some new material in the future, a new version of this. So that is, and then again, you can't talk about anything because nothing happens, or if something happens, you find out about it late, or then you find out and then it fades away into the nothingness. But that book, for people, writers, longtime listener, fans, just people in the industry, that is being out on sub. So this book that I love so much, that, you know, has won awards, that has had people that I really respect actually read it and like it. So
it was the first thing I've read of yours ever. Like that.
That's why we're besties.
Ditched me and you just run off to Spain for a while, but you came back. But yeah, so what you're telling me is because it's not available anywhere, I could sell my copy on like eBay for extra money. Is that it?
I mean, or just like hold on to it just in case.
Collector's item.
Like a collector's item. Like maybe in the future it'll be good. That being said, I'm going to NeCon next week in Goffstown, New Hampshire. It's an amazing horror convention. I will have old school copies of Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent with me. That I might just give away.
Dude, and bring the other copies of Pretty Ugly too, because nobody at that convention is going to be mad. Oh no, it has the mask with a little, they'll be fine. And someone will be like, hey, remember that time we got COVID after this other event? Because that's happened a few times too. So
it's not a good event if not people aren't getting COVID.
I know, that means they're not smuggling and getting up. It would help if just we didn't have germs. That would be extra good, but it is how it is.
I'm going to announce the last official Voxy. We're still going to keep talking a little bit, but the last official Voxy is for best costume design. I literally wrote best cosplay, but then I was like, oh my gosh, it should actually be best costume design.
For the Oscars?
For the Oscars. I mean, really, all of us, you and I
think we deserve honorable mentions.
We
like
are the supporting actresses in that. Josh Mallerman, longtime wacky guest of our show, always the longest episodes of the year by sometimes an hour. I'm just going to say that, like crazy. So Josh Mallerman wins for best costume design, best cosplay, when he showed up to the longest episode we've ever filmed, mind you, dressed as Laura Palmer from Twin Peaks.
That was the best.
It was from our. We were just like we wanted to be.
We were talking to him about something else though, because
I know I'm like, obviously he wasn't on to talk about Twin Peaks.
I think we were talking about Spin a Black Yarn, which was this collection, but I don't know if it had recently come out at that point or not, because I know my head really gets confused with Josh's books because I read a lot of them at the same time, so I don't know what came out when anymore.
Yeah, Spin a Black Yarn came out kind of right before that, like its big wide release. But then he was also in the middle of his. I'm watching all of David Lynch's career in its entirety.
Was he on for Daphne, maybe? Because he wasn't dressed like Daphne. He was dressed.
Daphne was the time that we all drank a bottle of whiskey.
That was probably it. Okay, I can't get them all straight because I know that
nobody can remember that one.
Well, that one because that was the one where he had to leave like 3 times during it because he was drinking. He's like, gotta go to the bathroom. Bye. And we're like, bye, Joss. He'll come back. Yeah. But yes, I was dressed as the log lady, and you were dressed as the cute little diner waitress. And
Shelley, you were also killed her husband.
You were super cute, and Josh was like going for it, and I'm like just over there holding a piece of fire.
No, it was so like, perfect. I love the screenshots from this. And the thing is, what I loved about that episode so much is that for like a couple weeks, Josh was like, I'm going as Coop. I'm going to be Agent Cooper. And I'm like, oh yeah, obviously. Yeah, I'm like, I'm Shelley, Allison's a log lady. We got it. because I wanted his
fiance
Allison, like to be just in the background, dead, wrapped in plastic, like Laura Palmer. So
did she not agree to that for some reason?
I mean, why would you? But she could have built something really cool to be in that. But
yes.
But so at no point in time does Josh say, I'm going to be Laura Palmer. Nope. And I remember that morning I was like, got my costume ready, blah, 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 texty text. And he was like, me too, can't wait, so excited. Still nothing. No, like, oh, I'm gonna be Laura. And when he popped on the screen, we were like,
what just happened here?
I loved it so much. And I feel like it gave me deja vu because I remember when he was a guest the first time, he didn't know us. And when he popped on, you and I both had blindfolds on and like weird stuff. Oh, I had like goggles, like bug goggles.
I had my kid's sleep mask on. I was a panda.
Because we were like doing like, we can't look at anything. It was a Bird Box. I know. Even though he wasn't there to talk about Bird Box.
Doesn't matter.
It was like, he's Bird Box. So I remember he popped on and he just busted out laughing. So I feel like the Laura Palmer might have been
just trying to prank us back because I feel like we deserve that at that point.
We did deserve that. So yeah, Josh is our winner for best costume design. He will be on during our next show, which is
it's on a Monday.
It's on a Monday.
You're looking for us. I want to say the 20th. Is that right? Is that
or the 21st of July? Yeah, it's right after Nikon.
It's not this week. It's not this week. It's the week after, and it's Monday. So whatever that day is. Yeah.
We'll post it. So we are going to be we're obviously going to be talking about his book, Incidents Around the House, which is the scariest thing ever. But it's also his birthday week. So maybe
we might be drinking. I don't know.
Oh my God, we should. I mean, oh no, we definitely will be because I know it's going at like 7 p.m. that night.
It is, but I probably still have to drive a kid to rehearsal. So if my kid doesn't have rehearsal, or I can talk somebody else into it, because I don't have to be anywhere tonight, which is a shock.
I know. So Allison's drinking vodka.
There's just a little bit in here.
Just a splashy.
It's mostly V8. I needed my vegetables.
Yes, it's good for you. So those were the Voxies. Actually, there is another Voxie.
There are more Voxies? We didn't write this down.
Category.
Is this a new category? Because we don't have set categories, so that really doesn't help.
But this one's like a very strange category. It was when I said, can we do something that's like the best, the best
worst title,
the best worst, or we're like the best second title. Oh, a good segue would have been when we were talking about covers.
Oh yes, for titles and covers. And I should have brought in my Old Bay seasoning from the spice rack in the kitchen because we wanted to let Clay McLeod Chapman know that his title Peelers is the one that made Jennifer take out her earbuds because it was so
here's the thing. So he's getting the award for What Kind of Mother?
Yes.
Which was the best second title of obviously a book we love. But when he got this glint in his eye on the show and he was like,
evil.
Want to hear what the original title was? And we were like, of course we do. And then he started just laughing.
we were like,
what is it going to be? It sounds terrible. And for people who don't know, I have a fear of crabs and What Kind of Mother
everything, Jennifer.
Has like some crab stuff.
Yeah,
like only eyeballs and crabs and like spiders. But raw meat. Well, and he was just like, the original title was Peelers. And I was like, hard pass. And then he was just like, I wanted to call it Peelers because. and then I don't know what happened.
You don't know. I was laughing so hard because I don't have that same particular phobia, but it was one of those things where, like, if you would have actually gone with that, every time it just makes you kind of have that squirmy, I'm so uncomfortable even thinking about it. So we were very glad he did not go with that cover. But when you mentioned that, I actually wanted to do a different Voxie also. And then this goes back into our backlist. So one of the things I love about this show, and it's all Jennifer's fault, is she introduces me to authors that I might not have known otherwise. And a lot of them, it's not their debut book. So I'm finding them on their 6th, 8th, 2nd book. and then going, oh, I love this. Let me go find what else they've written. I happened to, over Christmas break, be listening to one of Clay's backlists, and I found the winner for books you don't ever want to let your husband read if he is a male teacher, and that would be Whisper Down the Lane, which was such a good book, and I loved it, but I'm just like,
I loved it so much.
I remember like stopping listening and telling my husband what was going on. I'm going, you're never allowed to listen to this.
No, it's like, it's teacher horror.
It's teacher horror, and I didn't know that was a thing. But it is, and specifically male teacher horror. And I'm just like, you can't, nope. You have enough anxiety. I'm not putting down.
I loved that book so much. And so I brought that book, the hard copy of it, because I didn't have it signed yet, so I could still travel around with it. I brought that with me to Morocco, not thinking anything. And for people who don't know, that cover has like a children around a circle, like a pentagram. Because the book is about the satanic panic.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, well, nobody there is going to know that this is like this very specific part of American history.
They're just going to think Jennifer summoning the devil again
in our little Riyadh.
Yep.
So I will never, every time I think of that book, I think of the fact of me like pulling it out of my bag in Morocco and then being like, ooh.
Honestly, there are countries that you go to where I don't think you should even take my books because they have outlines of alcohol. But I will say that when I changed the covers, one of the types of advertising that I was previously denied doing, I was now eligible for because these, I guess, are cartoon drawings. I wasn't allowed to do lock screen ads because it couldn't allow alcohol. So apparently this is vague enough, but my old one clearly was. They were like, no. So I'm like, all right.
Oh, that's weird.
I still don't really know how lock screen ads work per se.
I don't know how that works.
Nobody I know does, and everybody who does ad courses is like, we don't use those. But I'm like, I'll try one. I don't think it's ever even delivered, so I don't have to really like. Apparently, we're not doing anything. It's not. It's like you don't have to pay for it because it's not delivering. But I'm just like, something's wrong there. It's not
too complicated for me.
Yep, it's hard.
So yeah, no, I think that is the end of the official Voxy. Back to Clay McCow Chapman again, real quick.
He also showed up in costume the first time, just like a wizard. It had nothing to do with anything, but he just found out he could dress in costume.
He's like, I can wear a costume.
Future
Wizard it is.
Please, by all means.
Please wear costumes. Damon Manx also dressed up as one of the characters from Walking Dead. Negan.
Oh, that's right. He was Jeff as Negan. I'm like, what, Jeff? You're like, hi, Daddy from Supernatural. That's cool. To me, I'm like, hey, look, you're on The Boys now. Hi, Daddy. What's up, Sam and Dean's dad? Who's a terrible dad?
Well, Negan was worse than Sam and Dean's dad.
Not that much, but that's fine.
So, again, I could out geek you with my life.
It's not even the geek. It's just
about
like,
Walking
horrible
Dead.
father. Exactly.
The moment I stopped reading the comics,
And not even the comics.
So yeah, I just finished from Clay's backlist the remaking.
That's one you told me to get, and I have it, and it's queued up for me to be starting.
I love it. I loved it. I listened to the audiobook. It was absolutely fantastic. Great narrators, and Clay is actually one of the narrators.
Clay narrates some of it?
He does.
That'll be weird because I'll be able to like picture him doing it, and I'll be like, Clay,
you can't. So remember, he's a theater person. He
that's right.
is. Yeah.
Man of 1,000 Faces and Voices.
Faces and Voices. It's amazing. So this, you have a new book coming out Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
We'll post the link for it all over the Vox Vomitus page. It'll be everywhere. So what else can you talk about? Can you talk about anything?
Well, there's really not a lot I can talk about yet because some of the stuff is going on that black box of submission. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping to know, like, my normal schedule is such that I have this black box of summer where my brain, it doesn't really function because my children are everywhere all the time.
They're screaming.
I'm mostly just mommy the shelter.
Also, you have 3 kittens.
Okay, I don't even count them, but they are disturbing the sleep. But they're very cute. And so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to start next because I just finished all the finishing touches on, this book went to beta and then with, doing edits and all that stuff. So that's where my brain's been. And now I want to transition to something new. So I'm going to be having a strategy meeting soon to figure out, okay, where am I going next? Because I do have books on sub, but we're not allowed to talk about any of that kind of stuff. So that's really, really fun.
Yeah. Because you have 2 books on sub.
I have
1.5.
I have like 2.5.
I know. I'm like, I think it's 2.5.
I don't know how you're doing the math. There's one that's like on sub that's actively being submitted. We have one that's like, because of the weird development of two of them, like only one goes at a time. And then there was one that was being considered. And then that one I haven't actually finished writing. So that might be what I have to finish writing. So yeah.
You never know. No, but that's very exciting. It's very exciting. Books out on submission. I mean, it sounds exciting. I should say that. Sounds so exciting.
It's like, it's excitement, but the panic attack kind of.
I was a little nervous,
not necessarily like, oh, fun, like I'm going to go on a roller coaster. No, not that. But it's not that.
It is what, the necessary thing that needs to happen. I have 2 books out on sub. I am working on finishing up a collection of creative nonfiction pieces. I don't know if anything's going to happen with that, but
can I at least read it, even if you decide not to do it?
Yeah.
I at least want to read it.
So I will say, I'm just speaking creative nonfiction. Little plug for I haven't talked about this nearly enough. One of my creative nonfiction pieces, entitled Florida, is in this anthology. It's called Such a Loss. It is by Mackenzie Publishing. It is a charity anthology for the Canadian Cancer Society.
Aww.
So I do have a piece in there that I think I just
put the link in the comments afterwards so people
can get the link.
Get that. Yeah. That would be good, because I don't think I've even seen the cover of that, and I knew you had something coming out.
I know. I posted like
you have other short pieces, but I don't keep track of what goes where.
Yeah, I have this, and then House of Haunts came out last year, and then this October 1st, Hospital of Haunts, which is the second general.
Same company, same publishing.
Yeah, same series. I will have a story in there called The Night Nurse. Woo-hoo. And then I do have some creative nonfiction pieces that are coming out in a book from Columbia University Press called Letting Grief Speak, Writing Portals for Life After Loss. I do not have a date on this, but the spearhead, the amazing creator, the writer, the mentor for all of that is the author Diane Zinna. She is she's been on Vox. She is the author of The All Night Sun. So that is coming out at some point in the future. We don't know. We don't have a date.
It's always vague, that stuff.
It's always vague.
It's like, here's the date, and it's coming up really soon. You're like, oh, thank you.
That's when you get excited. And then I was just last night asked to be part of an anthology, but I don't.
Probably can't announce it yet.
I can't say anything because I feel like it's just like too soon, but it's something.
We're going to take it back. Never mind.
It is an anthology series that I own the first 2 books in this anthology series and love them.
Oh yay.
And they're important, and I'm excited. So
tell
hopefully
I
will tell you up there. Yeah, because you never know, but I'm honored. And so there's little things going on, and of course starting to write the next novel. I hibernate for a little while, and then I get massively creative, and then I hibernate again.
You're like a bear.
Or like a cicada.
A cicada. You just go on screaming for a while, and then go back.
Yeah, like every 13 or 17 years, you just come out screaming. And then slumber. So yeah,
I love it.
Working on
scream away.
So join us next
a week from Monday
on whatever date that is, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. We will be celebrating Josh Mallerman's birthday with hats and candles and cake and bourbon. Cake.
Cake.
So thank you everybody for tuning in live, for listening and watching the show for the past 4 years and 164 episodes. If you caught one or all of them, thank you. We love it. We love you, and we will see you all in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Less. Bye.